as you get more mercenaries, you probably ask yourself quite a bit, what ability do I level up? What equipment do I want? And I'm here to help you answer that question with this video. This one's going to be for protectors. If you want to stay tuned, make sure you subscribe for casters as well as fighters, because those are going to be pretty important. I hope you like this video, and if you do, subscribe. You look fantastic. I'm a doctor! To mention as well, I haven't leveled all these characters up, but I'm just using my knowledge that I have of the game, of just researching and all that stuff to make sure you get the most educated decision. Just because I haven't leveled them doesn't mean I don't know what I'm talking about. Enjoy. For Alex, you want to level up Dragon's Breath first. The only reason you want to level this up above everything else is because you don't want to have the ability that is dependent on having other dragons, or your opponent having a high attack to kill themselves to be the highest. So you want Dragon's Breath to be the highest on its own. I think Alex for equipment is very hard. If you really believe that your opponent's gonna have a high attack, then maybe this, but I think almost always it's gonna be the Dragonflight Talisman, or you play Alex Shaw's Brooch. I don't know. I think this one's probably the best one. It's just very hard because they don't do a lot. Karen, a character I like a lot. For equipment, it's always gonna be Reincarnation. It's his best one by far. It just makes him super annoying. I'm trying to upgrade it as we speak. For his actual ability, I do think Endurance Aura or Earth Stomp is his two best ones. Earth Stomp and Endurance Aura are the more utility ones, but Endurance Aura can be really good to be paired with another mercenary, and then Earth Stomp can just be good on its own because it's an AoE ability. Rome is definitely a harder one because a lot of the decisions you make just may be dependent on what her role is in your team comp, but on average, Cariel Rome is a protector, so just making the taunt stronger can be very good. And Seal of Light can also be very good if you need a stronger healing. I don't really like leveling this up because it only just increases the health on her, and Death Blow is not that great. For her actual equipment, there are two I would recommend. Hammer of Dawn is okay, but again, you don't really want to do this for Crusader's Blow, so it's just going to be between these two. If you need more additional attack on your minions, this is fine, but I think the Tome of Light is just the best one possible because you're probably going to be taunting her up quite a bit. Cornelius Rome is definitely a good protector to have in your team comp. The two I would recommend are the Blessing of Sacrifice or Hold the Front. The benefit of doing this is that it lowers the speed of the ability, so, or I guess raise it depending on why you want to talk about it. So this one's definitely good because it makes sure that one of your mercenaries does not die. And then Hold the Front is also good because it just gives your adjacent minions more healing. For his actual equipment, I do recommend actually getting Shield of Dawn and upgrading this. Taking less damage is just generally good for any character, so I would highly recommend to upgrade this one. So Garrosh is our next protector, and I think generally speaking, you want to upgrade Battle Shout the most. It just lowers the speed quite a lot, and getting your orcs and including Garrosh an extra 10 damage is quite insane. For his equipment, I think the Dueling Gaunts are just the best one. You could make the case for the Tusk of the Manaroth. I don't think Orcish Banner is that great. It doesn't really do anything. Like 4 life is not going to be that mandatory, where I think the Dueling Gauntlets is just really good in case you need to kill something guaranteed if you're at a pretty low life. For Grom, I don't think Grom is a good character at all, but I can get the case behind Battle Fury because at least you can make this pretty strong, but I don't even recommend leveling up Gromash, to be honest. Staggering Slam is okay. Upgrading it does it more damage and slows them a little bit down, so this one has more utility. This one I think is actually pointless to level because you're never going to get that Death Blow ever. You have to be very, very fortunate, so don't even bother. For his equipment, Gorehal is definitely not that bad. Like, if you do get the 5 health and Death Blow, it's fine, but again, we don't really care about Death Blow. The Halting Sash, I think, is just probably the best one. It just makes this one better because the Bloodthirst Amulet, I don't think the extra 1 attack is going to be that relevant, so I'd go for the Halting Sash. Don't level this character, though. He's not worth it. Gruel is another character I don't really recommend leveling at the moment. He's very dragon-oriented, but for his abilities, I just recommend leveling up Craze Flurry. This is not going to do a whole lot of damage because obviously you're barely going to go against the dragon. Same for Dragon Mob Poacher. Doesn't really do anything, so probably just this one. For his actual equipment, this one could be very good if there is a fire like meta, but I don't know how often that's going to be the case. This one is entirely dependent on having a dragon, so again, we don't care. So either Burning Shot or the Dragon Skull, but I don't know, they're both pretty mediocre at the time being. Gruel will be good if there is a dragon composition in the metagame, but at the moment I would not recommend leveling him up. Mukla is a character that is kind of going for the beast synergy here, and the thing about King Mukla is that he can be very good with the right abilities upgraded. Now, Banana Frenzy does not really do much. It just gives your characters more bananas, and it's really slow, but attacking a minion could be good, but I don't really like it. Dinner Time is fine. You eat a banana and gain top this turn, so he could just be used as a protector, which I actually think is what you should upgrade. Primal Power is definitely not that bad if you're going for a beast synergistic comp, but again, it's really dependent on you having a beast, so I think that upgrading Dinner Time is just the main idea here because you'll probably be using King Mukla as some kind of defense. For his actual equipment, Radioactive Bananas is not that great. I wouldn't recommend it. Mukla's Brother is kind of good because it's an extra taunt to have, so I would definitely probably recommend upgrading this one first. And Refreshing Bananas, who really cares? One extra life is not going to be that great. Definitely Mukla's big brother, hands down. Fortress is definitely an interesting one because I actually think all of his abilities are quite good. Demon Slayer is not going to really upgrade it. It's just the actual gaining of attack if it's a demon. So I would not recommend this. I would go for probably Aimless Assault or I-Beam. Both of them are pretty great. I think Aimless Assault is probably just the best one to upgrade. When it comes to his equipment, there's Chaos Amulet, which makes I-Beam a little bit more effective because they'll do more damage, which means he gets more healing. Fell Blade, definitely, again, not horrible, but I don't think it's inherently that good. Like fell damage, sure, and maybe some kind of demon comp is fine, but I'm not a huge fan of it. And then there's Demon Guard, which just basically gives you passive +1 attack. So I generally think that Demon Guard or the Chaos Amulet is fine, but I would probably go for Demon Guard because just generally having more attack is pretty great, even though, you know, you don't really get the crit against demons because you're probably not going to go against them that often. When it comes to jaraxxus, I truly think that all of his abilities are actually pretty good. Legion Burst just basically gives you more damage, where Fist of Jaraxxus, again, gives you more damage. And then, of course, Fel Infernal is actually surprisingly great because you can make them even stronger. I would actually highly recommend upgrading this because it's like another thing that they have to be worried about. Generally speaking, for the equipment, Fist of Jaraxxus dealing 2 more damage is good, but I actually really like the idea of making Fist of Jaraxxus attack the lowest enemy because then it's not really RNG like this is. And then, of course, Fel Core 2 is definitely okay. It makes your Fel Infernals that much more scarier. I kind of like this equipment a lot. I feel like it's just really good. I think the Fel Infernal package for jaraxxus is the best, but again, I could be wrong on this one. I haven't really used jaraxxus that much, but I don't think he's that good either, so I wouldn't recommend leveling him. I would recommend upgrading Terror Charge. The one problem that I see with Fel Lash and the one problem I see with Howl of Terror is that they're just not really that great for leveling, so I would always recommend this. This just gives you a buff on Manareth itself and any other demons that you may have in your demon synergistic comp. For this one, for his equipment, I think it actually really depends on which one you want to upgrade. If you have a different opinion with me, then I would upgrade the equipment that you think is just his best ability. But for me, Pillard Staff, give you an additional 2 health. Sorry for my voice. I think is really strong. Raindrops is really easy for me, in my opinion. You just always upgrade the Magma Blast first. It's super fast. It just does more damage when you upgrade it. And if you're building him in a fire composition, it could be rather insane. The problem with Die Insects is that it's random. So like upgrading it is fine, but you're not going to get the guaranteed damage even if you do upgrade it. And Meteor is... yeah, I don't think it's that great to upgrade it initially, but it is a good ability. For his equipment, there is actually a lot to consider here. Blazing Rune is really strong. I think Blazing Rune works really well in a fire composition. Sulfurous, your characters cannot be frozen, is really strong, and you give Rag more health, which is fantastic. And then Molten Core, I mean, you could just do more damage. I think they're all good. So whatever equipment that you think you would want the most in your current situation is good for you. If you think you're going against a lot of Frozen, Sulfurous, but I think Blazing Rune or Molten Core are also just as well. Reg is just a pretty good character. For the Lich King, I do not recommend upgrading Death Coil, even though it does end up doing more damage. I think his 2 best abilities, in my opinion, are Frostbite and Frost Shield. If you upgrade Frost Shield all the way to the max, it becomes 2 speed with 1 cooldown, which is great. And then this obviously just lowers the speed, where this is getting more damage. And I think the damage does matter. I think all of his abilities are actually really good. But I think in order, I would go for Frost Shield and Frostbite, where Death Coil would come secondary, because the Lich King's job is to be a protector, not to deal damage. For his equipment, I was going to say upgrade Frostmourne, because it's like his best one by far, but you don't actually have to upgrade it. It just starts as 4. So I think Void Treads is fine, but I also think that Helm of Domination is fine too. It just depends if you're going against a slower composition, but it does work with his Frostbite, so maybe that extra damage does end up mattering. For Thrall is extremely easy for me to talk about. I think upgrading for the Horde is his best ability by far. It's the only ability you can use on turn 1, and once you get the Doomhammer, which is the one you want to upgrade no matter what, he does an insane amount of damage and basically can almost one-shot any single mercenary on the enemy side. Thrall is really good. I would highly recommend leveling him if you do get him. For Varian, you don't really want to upgrade Spitting Strike, even though it gives your humans more attack. It's a death blow, and death blows don't really work out that well. So you definitely want to go for either Heroic Leap, which does just more damage, which is not bad, or you do Retaliation. I think Retaliation is always just good because it costs 2 speed at its max rank, which can be very, very strong. For his equipment, I think you're going for this one. I don't want to pronounce it. Shalamain, I think is what it is. Just give Varian more attack. It's definitely the better one to do. Regardless here, like Heroic Leap is definitely not bad, but I think almost on average, just giving Varian more attack generally is just pretty great.